Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to WWE News and Rumors. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Brandon here, and welcome back to another juicy episode of WWE News and Rumors. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about today, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first news story is about the WWE Thunderdome at Tropicana Field. So if you don't know, if you're living under a rock and you don't know, I'm going to be the one to break this to you. WWE, they can't have fans right now. Okay, hopefully you're not living under a rock to that point. But anyway, they're moving venues from the smaller Amway Center to this lot larger baseball stadium for a set. So basically, guys, we have pictures of how the set's coming along so far, because this past Monday's episode of Raw was actually the last show in the Amway Center setup. So for SmackDown tomorrow, they actually have to be in this brand new place. So this photo is a bit old. It's actually from yesterday, but this is what it's looking like so far. They're definitely getting there, but they definitely have a long way to go. And it looks like they're not going to be utilizing the entire stadium, maybe just kind of part of it, just to kind of put the screens up and make a big circle to kind of circle around the whole thing. But it doesn't look like they're going to be using all of the whole stadium. So it's not going to be as big and elaborate as I originally thought. Okay, let's jump into the next news story. This is actually the final one before we jump into some rumors. So, ladies and gentlemen, this one's about Mauro Ranallo. So Mauro Ranallo, obviously, if you don't know, is a commentator who was working for WWE. He was actually on SmackDown as a commentator for a little while, if you guys remember that a few years ago. Then he got some issues with another commentator named JBL. Also, JBL used to be a wrestler. Hopefully we all know who JBL is. He's not the kindest person in the world, I don't guess. But he got some issues with him, and then he got moved down to NXT. And basically, Mauro finally left NXT and has put WWE in his rearview mirror, is kind of over WWE, and he actually came out and said why he had to leave WWE. He basically said it was to do with his mental health. There's a lot of pressure to deal with WWE and all the people there, and it's not like the most pristine place to work for, and it's not like the calmest or most relaxing place to work for, and he just basically would prefer, I guess, to work for other companies. And I don't blame him one bit. WWE is very, very hectic, and other places would be a lot better for him. Like, he does a lot of things outside of the world of professional wrestling that I guess he enjoys doing better, that's not as stressful, because the stress was just too much for him. And I completely get that, but that's what Mauro Ranallo has released about his release. That's his statement he came out with about his release. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so those were actually all the news stories, confirmed news stories I had to talk to you guys about today. But don't you guys go anywhere, because things are about to get juicy, things are about to get good, and we're going to jump right into some juicy rumors. The first rumor is about a lady by the name of Eva Marie. You may have heard of her. So she was a diva. Let's just call her a diva. Let's not even call her a women's wrestler. She was a diva back way when, I don't even know what year we're talking about here. I guess 2014, 15 is what I want to say. Eva Marie was she was actually quite popular. I mean, she was, even though she didn't really have too many matches. She was more of a model. I think they built her up to be like this giant thing, and then they never really did too much with her. But basically, they tried multiple different gimmicks with her. Nothing ever really clicked, and they ended up releasing Eva Marie. But now here we are, heading into 2021, and there's rumors of an Eva Marie return. Now, apparently, this is crazy. This is crazy. Obviously, every rumor take with a grain of salt, because a rumor could be true, it could not be true. Every rumor I report in these videos comes from a news site online. It does not come from me, so don't blame me if something doesn't come true. But basically, this rumor is saying Eva Marie is actually already signed with the WWE. And she's actually been signed with the WWE since September of this year. And she's just been kind of, well, not her, but they've just been kind of waiting for the perfect opportunity to do something with her. But she's actually been signed since September, and everyone's been keeping very, very quiet about it, but she has been signed since September. Which opens up the question, I don't know if you guys noticed on Raw, Angel Garza gave a flower to someone with obviously, I would assume, a female with red painted fingernails. And we can assume that maybe, just maybe, that's Eva Marie. Or maybe it's not. We'll just have to wait and see, but if she is signed, this is one possible role that could be for her, or maybe it's not for her. Let's be honest. It's probably not her, but if she is indeed signed, who knows when she could return back. But the current rumor is Eva Marie has been signed with the WWE since this past September. Okay, the next rumor is about Elias, WWE wrestler Elias. So apparently Elias is seeing visions, ladies and gentlemen. So he has been electrocuted Somehow, I don't get how that really happened. So he had a wooden, made out of wood, it's wooden, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Guitar neck, right? His like fretboard, his guitar neck. And he was in the middle of the match. He was trying to jab Jeff Hardy with it. He jabs it through a speaker. Then the speaker electrocutes him through the guitar neck. I'm not too sure I understand the science there. I mean, I guess there is a metal rod inside of a guitar neck. There's like the truss rod is made out of metal, so maybe. But he wasn't touching the truss rod. Then there's the frets on the guitar, but none of the frets are really connected to each other. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I'm not breaking down the science of how Elias got electrocuted. Apparently he is seeing visions now, and he knows the future for his life. He knows the meaning of life, and he's going to share it with all of us. And he was questioning if he could ever even play guitar again. So guys, it looks like Elias may be getting some kind of a refresh on his gimmick, or a brand new gimmick altogether. I don't know. But next time we see Elias, chances are something new and crazy is going to be going on with Elias, and we'll just have to wait and see where they go with this. Okay, the next rumor is about Sting. So if you guys don't know, if you've been living under a rock once again, Sting is now in AEW. He's in All Elite Wrestling. Sting is All Elite. So it's interesting that he actually signed with AEW. I know a lot of legends and wrestlers, they don't want to sign with AEW because they don't want to close the door on WWE, because they feel like if you go to AEW, you're not coming back to WWE, at least anytime soon. But basically, Sting, he didn't have a problem doing it. He wanted one like final run, final farewell, and apparently he is actually wrestling. That's the rumor that's came out today. So he's actually wrestling for AEW. But why am I talking about this? This has nothing to do with WWE, and this is the WWE news show. Well, the reason I'm actually talking about this is because the reason Sting actually decided to sign with AEW is just to kind of slam the door in WWE's face, because he felt like he was treated quite badly in his run in WWE, because I guess he was promised to be like this big, huge deal, and he's going to be like a great thing in WWE. When he gets there, he's just going to rule and take over and all of that. But the fact of the matter is, the two like very high-profile matches Sting was in inside the WWE, he lost them both and kind of got buried in them both. So, I mean, sure, he did a lot of entertaining stuff, especially the stuff with Seth Rollins. I believe that's the more like, yeah, this is Sting. This is what Sting's all about. When he did the stuff like with Seth Rollins' statue and all that, I remember that was absolutely great. But other than that, I mean, he hasn't really did too much inside the WWE. And something Sting really wanted to do is have that match with The Undertaker. He wanted a cinematic match with The Undertaker like the one AJ Styles had, but WWE, Vince McMahon, apparently repeatedly said no to it, and that's just set Sting over the edge, and now Sting has slammed the door on WWE and is now All Elite. So that's the story behind that, I guess. Okay, the next rumor is about the main event of WrestleMania 37. So who is the Universal Champion Roman Reigns going to be facing in the main event of WrestleMania 37 is the question, because we can assume that Reigns is going to be champion just by the ring he's already having. So there's been a lot of rumors and talk going around. Maybe it's going to be his cousin, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Maybe it's going to be The Rock. But apparently The Rock has a lot of obligations and written commitments and things like that that say specifically in the contract he's already signed that he cannot have a wrestling match until they're finished with what they're doing. So I guess they're scared he's going to get injured or something, so a lot of the things he's working on in Hollywood won't allow him to go back to WWE until it's over with. He can go back and talk, but he can't have a match, is basically what the contracts say. And you know, Rock's last match, his last real match, was probably WrestleMania 29. Yes, he had that match at WrestleMania 32, if you want to call it a match. Personally, I don't want to call it a match because it was like 6 seconds long. But the actual match, last like legitimate match Rock had was against John Cena. That John Cena feud where he got his like horrible hernia and thought he could never wrestle again. And we honestly don't know if Rock can actually full on wrestle again because he got injured quite badly in that match, which is probably why everyone's so concerned at this point. But as for a feud with Roman Reigns, they're gonna have to do like a way out advance notice. So it's definitely not happening at WrestleMania 37 unless something drastic changes. So it's not gonna be him. And apparently it's not going to be Big E. They don't have plans for Big E right now. But, there's a but, they actually don't have plans for anything right now. They're not planning that far ahead right now. So, I guess for Roman Reigns, they don't even know who their opponent's going to be. So it could be Big E, but it doesn't look like it's going to be The Rock. Unless something crazy changes with The Rock's kind of contracts in his schedule. Okay guys, so I'm actually editing this this video right now. And as I'm like on social media, I see this thing about Goldberg. And apparently Goldberg was on the Bump Show, WWE's Bump Show or whatever it's actually called. Maybe I'm not saying it right, but basically he's been teasing a rematch with Roman Reigns for the title. So maybe since they can't get Rock, they're going to do Goldberg versus Reigns at Mania, or maybe it'll be Rumble. I don't know. All I know is they're actually teasing this, and this is something WWE is on Twitter right now actually tweeting about, saying, hey, maybe this is going to happen. Maybe this match is happening. So I don't know, guys. We'll just have to wait and see. But Goldberg is another name that could be added to the list. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the final news story, the final thing I'll be talking about inside of this episode of WWE News and Rumors is about Mr. CM Punk. So I hate to be this guy who keeps talking about Punk. I know everyone's talking about it right now. I know it's not just me. But I'm just trying to stand here and kind of just talk right down the middle. I'm not trying to lead you guys either direction on the whole thing. I don't want to be like a CM Punk's returning to WWE, or also I don't want to be the thing. CM Punk's never, ever doing anything to do with wrestling ever again. I want to be the kind of standing in between those two people right now. So basically, CM Punk, it seems like every single year, he's every time he's asked if he's going to return to WWE or AEW, well, not return to AEW, but just return to pro wrestling in general. It seems like every year he's asked that question, he becomes more and more open to it. And this year is quite, like, what in the hell planet are we on right now where Punk's actually thinking about returning? So he was asked the question, and Punk basically said, yes, he would do it. He would return to pro wrestling if the story was compelling, if the story was interesting, if the story was fun to do, and there was a crap load of money. If there was a lot of money and a lot of good storytelling, then he would definitely return to pro wrestling. I guess he doesn't really have a preference on AEW or WWE. They just have to have a good story and pay good money, and he would actually do it. So this is quite interesting. It's a total like 180 flip from what he said a few years ago when he was out. But of course he was sour, and he doesn't want to be a full-time wrestler and have to work through injuries and deal with these stupid contracts and everything like that. He just wants to have fun with it, really, and make a living at it. I believe that's what he wants, but CM Punk is actually open to this, so is CM Punk ever going to return to wrestling? If you would have asked me this question a few years ago, I'm like, maybe. He's so against it, I don't know, though. If you're asking me this right now, I definitely see it happening sometime in the future. He's talking like this now every year. He seems to be a little closer. I mean, obviously, it's his decision. He can do whatever he wants to do, but as a fan, I would love to see it. But he is free to do whatever he wants with his life. It is his life, but if I had to guess from just looking from the outside in, I would say maybe sometime in 2021 or even 2022, we might see a CM Punk pro wrestling return in some sort of fashion. I mean, there is that rumor that he was under that one mask of that indie show. It was actually kind of confirmed, I believe, but that was under the mask. He was just kind of getting a feel for it. Maybe he got bit by the wrestling bug there where he just wants to do more wrestling stuff. But who knows, guys? Very interesting stuff. CM Punk is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time as I look at a giant poster of him inside of the wrestling room here. But, guys, it would be very interesting to see if it actually happens. If it would, I would probably scream like a little schoolgirl, but it would be very cool, and we will just have to wait and see. So there you guys have it. That is going to do it for this episode of WWE News and Rumors. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Right now on screen, I will leave a link to subscribe to this channel. Also, I have the channel member thing turned on if you guys want to support the channel that way, and I will leave a link to the previous video on screen right now. But thanks for watching, guys. I am Brandon Hodge, and I will see you guys in the next video.